Hello AAT, we are finishing section 7.1 on trigonometry, introducing trigonometry. So we had just done this problem on example 6 to find the sides of the right triangle, and we found x was 14.135. And we could use Pythagorean theorem now that we know what x is to find the third side, but let's use trig since we need to practice a little bit with that. So if we're going to use the 23, and we need to find y. Y is the hypotenuse. So we could use adjacent over hypotenuse, which is cosine, or we could use opposite over adjacent, which is opposite over hypotenuse, which is sine. We really should use the sine because it'd be better not to use the 14 just in case we made a mistake with it. So we're going to do the sine of the angle equals the opposite side over the hypotenuse of y. So we're going to solve for y. We'll multiply y over to the other side. Y times the sine of 23 equals 6, and divide by the sine of 23, 6 over the sine of 23, and that's what we will put in our calculator. So remember, we were making sure we were in degrees, and we're going to do 6 divided by the sine is right above the y there. Let me get this out of the way. Blue button sine of 23 degrees, and make sure you're in your parentheses and put that approximate button. The yellow button, you'll see the star come up and enter. It's 15.3558 or 15.36. 356, we'll do it that way, to 3 places. All right, on to the next one. So we have this with A's and B's. So why not, let's just to be different, we can use sine, cosine, or tangent. If we're finding A, we might use tangent, or we could use cotangent. Remember, cotangent is adjacent over opposite. I would never really use cotangent when I can use tangent because it's just a few more steps to find it in the calculator. But just for the fun of it, let's go ahead and say the cotangent of that angle, 72, is equal to the adjacent over the opposite. So the adjacent side is A, the opposite side is 20. That looks like a 9, but that's A. A of 20. Okay, so we're going to multiply that 20 to the other side. 20 times the cotangent of 72 is equal to A. Okay, so no dividing this time. I have to multiply that 20 right to the other side. So to find cotangent on the on the calculator, we're going to do 20. You got to make sure you push multiplying. You can't just put it right next to the cotangent. And then to find cotangent, you do math, which is second 5. The math menu will come up. And then we scroll down to A, which is trig, and we find cotangent, which is number 6. And you could just push the button 6 if you want to. So there's the cotangent, and we wanted of the angle, which was 72. In my parentheses, put approximate button, and the answer is 6.498. So A is 6.498. So find B. So to find B, that's the hypotenuse. So I'm going to use the opposite and the hypotenuse. So opposite over hypotenuse, I can either use sine as opposite over hypotenuse, or I can use cosecant as hypotenuse over opposite. But let's use sine. The sine of 72 degrees, sine of the angle, equals the opposite side, 20, over the hypotenuse, B. So if we multiply B up to the other side, we're going to have to divide by the sine of 72. B equals 20 over the sine of 72. And show all this work so that if you punch a button wrong in your calculator, you still can get some credit for knowing what to do. So I'm going to do 20 divided by blue button sine of 72, parentheses. Approximate button is 21.029. Okay, so give the last 2 problems a try, and then I will have the work for you here. Push pause. All right, so hopefully you got, here are the answers and the work if you need to look back and see what you may have done wrong. So now you can go and practice.